meeting, I guess, right? So let's get started. There we go. Guys, welcome. We have some people coming in.
Thomas, are you going on Twitch also?
Yeah, there is always a delay for a few seconds. I should be online now, so I see that I am. So you should be good. And we promised that we will clock this somehow, right? So let's do this for 25 minutes. We're going to take a 5-minute break. After those 25 minutes, there will be a sound that will shut me up probably at the end of this period, and then we're going to go for another period of time, and perhaps a third one, but we'll see. But we will take a break so you guys can keep your motivation and what have you, right, up, so I don't lose you. I hope you guys have a glass of water, some coffee, some performance enhancing drugs. I don't know, whatever makes you happy, right? Whatever makes you tick. Now, we will talk today about a little bit of advanced testing strategies, which is basically a continuation to the topic that we covered yesterday in that stream. But perhaps before we do that, I would like to just ask a few questions. I don't want to. No, Luke is not coming in. He is following the stream instead of joining the meet. He had to leave for his kid, so he had to pick him up. So that's why he's not coming. But anyway, make sure to follow the stream as well, because there might be a better quality in everything else. So it's twitch.com/Thomas_Ochman. And I see that at least 3 of you are there, so at least I need at least 2 more to join. Okay. Great, Guru. Well, thank you for that. Right. Now, I want to give you a little heads up on what will come tomorrow. You remember we told you guys that we will have a session with you that will prepare you for some job interviews or technical training. Now, the one that we will run tomorrow is pretty simple in our view. It might not be that simple from your perspective, or perhaps it is. So I'm thinking I could potentially give you a bit of heads up if I just find my notes here. Hold on a second. Web application development productivity, React. Right, where is that? There we go. Right. Now, when we conduct these type of interviews, we ask you to follow a protocol that we call Think Aloud protocol. Okay, and I want you to be prepared for that. So the Think Aloud protocol basically means that if I give you a challenge, you need to have your internal dialogue said out loud. So, oh, this is hard. I don't know what to do, or I know exactly what to do. So we want you to talk to us at all times. Do you understand? Like, I will create a variable. I will call this, and I will set the value of this variable to this and that, and I will, I need to hear your thoughts. And this is pretty, how do you say? Oh, not annoying, but it needs getting used to. And why do we want to do that? Well, because what you want to avoid in a setting where you are being interviewed is silence. You need to make sure that you talk at all times, so that your recruiter actually understands and can assess you in that interview. Do you understand? So we want to avoid, we need to avoid silence. Strategies, right, there we go. Right. So we always say that this think aloud protocol is an integrated part of every challenge. You need to listen to the challenge, read the instructions carefully, preferably out loud, with some afterthought, not only read the instruction up and down, because everybody has read them, but okay, so you want me to do this, you want me to do that, and so on, right? So we want to translate the instructions into your own words, and then I'm going to open the terminal first, I'm going to create a file, I'm going to create a folder, I'm going to put this, and so on. So you have to constantly talk. Does that make sense, people? Right. And again, tomorrow we will practice this for the first time, and you will be given this instruction as well tomorrow. But I just wanted to say that immediately, so you guys know about this. Now let's see. Why am I not accessing that course? Tech interviews, there we go. And then we just want to click on start. There we go. Right. So, like, questions that you might get tomorrow could be something like, create a variable and name it something and give it some sort of a value. Like, for instance, you can be asked to create a variable that holds some information about you yourself, right? And so let me just go through this a little bit. I'm gonna just cd into my project, and I will, let's see, do we have demos here? No, we don't. So I'm just gonna say mk dir interview demo or talk or whatever, right? And I'm gonna cd into this, and I'm just gonna create a Ruby file. So I'm gonna say touch my interview.rb, for instance, and we're just gonna open this up in our editor, and we might be asked, for instance, like, create a variable that holds your name. Okay, it's a pretty simple question, but this is something that you might get. So that is pretty easy. You just say name equals and then Thomas, right? And of course you avoid spelling mistakes, right? And you could get something like write a small Ruby code that outputs this on the screen, this particular value. So that would be puts name, puts, not pits. Let's, God damn it. There we go. Puts name, and you have to execute this. Now, if you don't know how to execute Ruby files, then pay close attention, because I will show you that. You just go to terminal, you open it up, and you just say Ruby, my interview, in this case, my interview RB, which is, so you say Ruby and then the file name, and that would output Thomas in the terminal. Are you done with that? Okay, so let me just comment this out. Another question that you might get would be to create, like, let's say, the questions might be about various data types. You can be asked to create a hash or create an array and fill it with some info. So hashes are created very simply. So you can just say my hash if you want to give it a name. My hash equals, and a hash is basically this. It's like an object, but this is an empty hash, right? So if you want to give it some sort of attribute, then you would say, for instance, a key, and keys are placed as symbols, and values could be anything. Could be a string, Thomas, for instance, right? Oh, for fuck's sake! There we go. But we can also be it could also be an array. So let's say if we're asking for hobbies, we could place an array in here, and you can see programming and the next value would be for instance cooking, right? And also chess. I have chess as a hobby. Okay, so now we can see that we have an object here that has, or a hash that has one key that is called name, and it has a value, and then it has another key, in this case hobbies, and that would be programming, cooking, and chess. Now, does anyone know how I can access the, you see I just did a formatting and it changed the format a little bit for me. This is a newer uh, array syntax. It's a percentage sign and W, and then you don't have to have the quotes or the commas for this, you understand? But this is perfectly fine. So you don't have to use the new syntax if you don't want to. My formatter does it for me. So does anyone know uh, how I can access cooking? You know, my this particular hobby. Anyone?
Should it be like in square brackets, hobbies, and then the one in
Like
round
this?
brackets? No, like my hash, then square brackets.
In a terminal.
Yeah, but we can do it here. My hash and then hobbies, like this.
And that's after hobbies, it's like two dots and then one something.
No.
Oh, in
No, I
brackets.
think like two dots before hobbies. How it's called, like in English. I forgot the
A
word.
colon, right? Like this.
Yes.
And then?
And then in round brackets after hobbies, one.
Like this?
No. Or uh, try. I'm not sure. I forgot arrays. How to access element
Any
in
other
array.
bids? I think David wanted to say something. Then Google Meet threw him out.
I think it is the
Right.
same way that way you put hobbies, the same way you need to put in one in that.
Like this.
Yeah, like this. Yeah.
Okay, so let's try that. So we're just gonna say puts. We can do it in the terminal, but we can also do it like this. Yes, that was correct. All right. So definitely, you access the hash and then the key hobbies, and then you want to pull out the second one, right? Okay. Okay, good stuff. So this is this kind of questions you might get, right? Now, another another thing that you might get is to create classes. Okay, so we're gonna work with a very abstract foobar example, but they might ask you to create a class. And how, like, I'm gonna create a new file and just gonna say foo.rb, you know, just for the sake of it. And do you know, if I would like to create a class that is called foo, what would I type? Does anybody know?
Class foo.
Yeah, class foo, class space foo.
And how do I say foo?
Big F O O.
Right, and then
Enter and
Okay.
end.
like this. Is that what you're saying?
I think so.
I would say yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's perfectly fine. So we can load foo.rb, and now if I wanted to create new, like a new variable, you know, equals foo.new, and that worked. All right, so that's good. That was good. Now, what am I doing here? When I have this file, and I open IRB and I do this. What am I doing here?
Well, you're loading this file.
Yeah.
Okay.
In IRB, you are loading that file.
Okay, and what is the difference between this and require foo? Well, first of all, it doesn't work, so that's the big difference. But between this and this.
I think
You
I have
put
like
two
two
dots
dots,
after,
like
yeah.
full.
Yeah,
Yes.
first of all, I have 2 dots, right? But so is there a difference between require? Even let's see if we can require like this. Yeah. So let's quit this, enter this again, and do this. It says true when I do require. What's the difference between require and load? It's perfectly
Well,
safe.
maybe
Sorry.
like in the program, I would say that. Like okay, I'm not sure. I don't know.
That's perfectly fine.
I
Now
have
this
never
is
used it here, so I don't know.
no, that's good. Guys, this is a perfect example where you use your Googling skills. You just say Ruby difference between load and require, and then there is an answer. It's probably nothing. I don't even know myself, to be honest. It's really irrelevant, the difference. What is relevant is that I need you to be quick enough, creative enough, and flexible enough to actually type that into Google. Google is your friend. Ruby, difference between require relative, load, or whatever, you know. If you want to know, you can find out. Do you understand? And it's perfectly fine to do that when you run an interview. You can always say, you know what, I don't really know the difference between load and require. So I'm going to figure out, aha, there is no difference, or aha, there is a difference. It's not nothing to be ashamed of. This is a corner case question. It's a stupid question. You could be asked a question like this just to get you off track because your recruiter wants to know how you handle yourself under pressure. Do you understand? So that little pressure is something that you can definitely encounter. Does that make sense? All right. So now that we have foo, we can create an instance. And tricky question: how do I create an instance of the foo class?
You need to like write it into a variable, some kind of variable equals foo that new, something like that.
Something like that, or that? Is that it?
Yeah.
I would try it. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it is like that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Now, and how can I check what class variable or var is? Because that's the name that I gave it.
You check.
Var.class?
You wanna var.class? No, it's like
Type var dot type. No.
I already heard the right answer, but you see.
Class?
Yes, exactly.
Class.
Yeah.
Right. That's dot class. And if I would like to know the class of that particular class, what can I do?
var foo.class, var.foo.class, something.
Nope.
Class of this particular class.
Mm-hmm.
What does that
The
mean?
ancestor of that. Well, it's all everything is built upon inheritance, right?
Do you write child?
Huh?
Maybe type.
Child?
Nope. You. Right. And if I would like to know the class of that class, for some reason,
Class.
Certain class again.
mm-hmm.
Maybe do it again.
Yeah.
Right. And consequently, the superclass of this would be superclass, right? Right. And that's nil. That's nothing, right? So we all come from nothing. God created us. All right. So what is basic? So what if I would like to? I mean, we have a very basic class definition here, right? I mean, we didn't put any data, any behavior, and nothing. It's a totally empty class. But if I would like to check what methods I have available, what can I do to this class? Can I check that somehow? I can. I can take the variable, which is the instance, right? It's an instance of the full class, and then I can call methods on it. You have to remember this. You can call methods on everything, and that displays a list of methods that you can do on this particular thing. Even so, because you see, you remember I told you once about inheritance. Now, we just created this class. We do not inherit from anything, right? We didn't say, you know, often when you say, when you inherit, you do this, right? And then present object, like this. Now, we don't have to say that, because if you do not tell a Ruby class to inherit from something, it always inherits from object. That's built in, basically. But every class has a superclass, has an ancestor. Not really relevant, but it is still important. Now, what is the initialize method? Do you know what that is? No, nobody knows what it is.
Instance variables.
Like when you create a class,
Mm-hmm.
it automatically kind of will do stuff that you put in the initialize method.
It will do stuff that I put in the initialize method. That you're right. You're right. I would advise against saying that in a tech interview, though. Whereas because the word stuff is a little too broad for the whole thing, you know, it's too ambiguous. But you're right, it does stuff. It assigns instance variables to that particular instance and executes code. So in this case, if I now do, you know, I create a new object, the initialize method will be executed, and oh, I didn't load it. Sorry, I forgot to load it. Right, there we go. Right, so now it outputs, I was born, yay, I am being created. Is there a way for you to call on that initialize method again? Or any use case that you can come up with at the moment?
By return?
No, there is no way to access that. And there is no use case for that. This is a method that is called whenever
What did you say?
If you can call this initialize method again, there is no way to call that method. It's only called once when you create the instance. This can only be executed once when an instance of this class is being instantiated. Do we know what the word instantiated means?
Well, like created, maybe.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly.
Synonym.
That's exactly what it is. That's cool. I'm just pushing you a little bit, guys, because I want you to get into this lingo. You know, you need to start using those words and so on. Okay. So now we have this class foo, and so let's say I would like to give this class foo an attribute, or you know, a property, whatever you want to call it, that is called bar. What can I do to do that? So properties need to be set somehow, right? And they should also be read. So how do we do that?
Well, you can make, first of all, initialize. You can make this add variable. It's called, I forgot the word.
Bar.
Bar.
That's what we, yeah.
Yes, equals to something.
Yeah.
That you want.
Mm-hmm.
And before that, you have to select write attribute, call attribute.
You have to have bar up there to initialize, and in the brackets bar, right?
Do I? No? Well.
No.
Okay.
It's like a line on top of the definition of initialize, like in the class, like before you define initialize.
So Seva, you were right, but you're also wrong.
Also wrong? Okay.
Yes. The question I asked, what do you need to set an instance variable? And the answer to that question is exactly what you said. This is it. This is the only thing you need to do to do what I asked for. Let me show you. So I'm gonna have to quit this. Oh, sorry. Quit this. I'm gonna clear. I'm gonna reload this, and now I'm just gonna require foo again, and I'm gonna create new this again, right? And now this property is being set, right? Okay. However, what you were saying, Seva, is you were answering my next question, the question that I haven't asked yet. So you
How
went
to access it.
how to access
Oh,
it. Right.
okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and what you were looking for, what that you couldn't find, and that's perfectly fine, is this accessor.
Accessor, yes.
Right. Attribute accessor, and then you just say as a symbol, you say bar. And what does that give us? And this is important. What does this do for us?
It basically gives us the ability to read and write that attribute.
Did you hear that sound?
And
yeah, that's the end of the session. But go on.
okay.
Oh, you perhaps you didn't hear that, but I hear that.
Wait,
Okay. Yes, and this allows to read and write, but we can actually do it not attribute accessor, but attribute write and attribute read, I think. Reader and writer, yes.
Yes.
That is just to read and just to write.
Right. Okay. That's perfectly fine. Now this is a Ruby syntactic sugar. That's great. That's exactly what it does. Now attribute accessor gives us a getter and a setter method. So get is read, set is write, right? So you can set right. So this is definitely what this does. So let's just quit this and clear again. Open IRB. We're gonna take a break in just a second. Require foo, recreate this one, and now I can say var dot bar, and I will get something, right? And I can also set this value now and can say else, something else, right? And then now if we check what bar is, it will be else. So it gave us a setter and a getter method. All right, folks, we are gonna follow our own rules, and we will take a 5-minute break. So new timer, and we're gonna do custom timer, and we're gonna do 5 minutes. Start timer. No. Pause. Sorry. There we go. So now we're gonna take a 5-minute break. You guys can get some water, and I will just turn off my stream for just a second. Okay. And mute myself. We'll be right back. All right, the boys are getting submitted to some of my questions. Let's see if we can get this thing off the ground.
Nice.
Yeah.
There are some you can choose a Ruby one and just do the Ruby tests like inside. I've done it a couple of times.
We're back online again, gentlemen. We're back online. So let's see. Let's run 25 more minutes. Okay. There we go. All right. So we created this foo and this this attribute accessor. Now, just for your information, this attribute accessor means that, as Seva said, we can read and write this this particular attribute. Now, what this does for us, if I comment this out, just so we understand, it does this: def bar and then just return self dot bar. Okay, and the setter would be something like def bar equal self and then value. I think that's what it does. Self bar equals value. I think at least that's what it does. Let's try that. So we're just gonna quit this. We're gonna clear this. We're gonna open up IRB again. We're gonna reload this thing. And we're gonna create this new variable, and so we're gonna say var bar, and that didn't fly at all. Why not? Stack level too deep. Return self bar. So what if we just say this instead, which is probably better. So let's just see if we can load this instead, so then I don't have to exit. Right. So we just do where is that? Here it is. Right, and then we just say var bar, and now that works. Okay, so that worked, but now let's see if we can change that. So equals hello, and that was a deep stack level too deep. So we
no, you can use only once, right?
No, I think I can do this. Let's reload this again. Let me just make this a little bigger for you. Can you still see when I have it like this? You can see this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So we're gonna reload this guy. So load, so require, I think that the difference between load and require is that you can only require things once, whereas you can load this multiple times. Do you understand? So that's the difference. So if I make any changes, I can reload it, and I don't think you can do that with require, but I'm not sure. You can research that at some point. So let's create this guy, and now I want to set bar to hello, and now it worked, right? So I just mixed up the syntax a little bit. So var has the value or the property bar set to hello now. So this attribute accessor, this line of code, does all of this for us automatically. Okay, this does this, and in this trivial example it is not that important. But what if you would like to have more properties than one, right? So then you would have to write these methods for every setter and the getter that you would like to have, and you want to avoid that. So therefore it is better to use this function, this method. And if I would like to have, you know, baz, another attribute accessor, then I could just do that. I can reload this, recreate this one, and now bar is not bar is set to something because I did set it here, but I can also now say var baz equal hello, like this. Right, so now if we check what var is, we say that we have both bar and baz. Okay, so you can just chain them, or not chain them, but you can include them separated by commas, right? And as Seva was saying, if you would just say attribute reader attribute reader, and for instance I can see a use case from your current project pin code, right? Then we could access the pin code. Now why would pin code be set to just reader? Anyone?
It's because the system will read it only.
Exactly.
And it does not put a value to it again.
Yeah, you're not supposed to change the pin code, so therefore you don't want to you set it once on the initialize when you create that account class that we were talking about earlier, and there is no need to change that pin code once that has been set. So you should not be able to access that. Pretty much. Okay, cool. Now another thing that could come up, could somebody tell me a little bit about data types, what that is, and then name a few?
Well, I can. Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Easy. Data types is basically different types of information that can be stored in a variable.
Different data, yeah.
Different data types can be like integer, which are integers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like floats. It's when you have a number with the like dot and fractional values, basically. Strings, which are words. Arrays, which are like vectors or like matrices, like the tables with data, and hashes, which are like paired arrays. And maybe even more.
And maybe like
tons of different, yeah.
Booleans also?
Booleans,
yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's good. So what if I say, what if I do this? Look, guys. Let's see. Let's do quit and then clear, and let's put this up on screen. And we do IRB again. And if I say, what will happen when I do this? Thomas dot split. Does anybody know what that would do?
It will split the Thomas words, THOMAS, all of them.
And return what?
And every line something.
Okay, any other bits? You're half right.
Maybe it will be array of like THOMAS.
Not really.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. It will create an array, but it will create everything, right? So, so what if I? Well, let's see. We could, in principle, do something like this: forward, like sorry, dada, comma 2, and then with a space between. No, this. Let's see what that does, okay? Interesting. Why would this happen? And what is there a difference if I do this? Interesting. Why would that happen? And what is this? These two forward slashes.
Well, I think maybe.
So the forward slashes is interesting. It's a little bit out of scope for this question. Forward slashes are a regex, regular expression. But if I just pass in an empty array in this, it will still split everything up, because what happens is that we're looking for split, but we're looking for each character separated by nothing, with another following character. If I would say hello world, and I would call split on that, then we automatically get hello and world in separate arrays. If I would say hello world split and then this, then we get all of this, right? And if I can also do I think I can do g sub. Can I do this? And then comma this. No, I can't do that. Not g sub. What is it called then? Shit, I thought it was called g sub. Let's see. Ruby g sub. Do you use Ruby g sub? Well, oh, I changed it in the wrong way. I think we need to do g sub first. Right, exactly, and then split. Now it works. So what g sub does is it substitutes characters, right? So if I would say, like, let's say Thomas, and we would say g sub capital T and change that to capital A, then we will get Ahomas. Do you understand? So this is what we're doing here. Okay, and what would this do? It would flip the things around.
Yes,
right?
It would flip your name, yeah.
Right, exactly. And this is pretty cool because this is built into Ruby. Not that you use it that often, but, well, I can't really come up with any use case for this to ever happen. But you can do this if you want. So yeah, that's pretty awesome.
It only work with strings? Like what if it's an array, for example?
Let's try that. Let's try.
Because if it can do it for array, I can think of a ton of different applications for that.
Oh, sorry for spelling your name with a small. No, still as small. Come on. There we go. And then just another name. We will go with Arun because it's shortest. No, Kim is the shortest. Right. And then we just do reverse. Right. So we did reverse it. So then you can definitely use case now. And
Can
so
you split and reverse? Yeah.
well,
Does
you
it work
can't
like
really
that?
split this. I don't think you can split this one. You can't split on an array. But what you could do is to say sort, perhaps. Right? So now it sorted it out alphabetically. Right? So that's nice. And what if we just want to determine who's going to take out the garbage, and we have to have a small lottery, right? Between me, Seva, and Kim. So we would do sample, right? And now we get a different result. Well, Seva draws the short stick many times, but this is also built into Ruby. You can call sample on an array, and then you get samples. And trust me, this guy will actually come in handy in one way or another, because at some point you will be building a game where you have to sample actually one of three choices. I don't want to give away too much at this point, but you will be probably building this in JavaScript, and in JavaScript you don't have this sample method, so you're going to have to figure out another way to do this. But and here's the thing, right? You want to do something. I have an array, and I just want to randomly choose one of these objects in this array. in Ruby, you can do sample, you can achieve this in JavaScript, of course, but there is a slightly longer way that you have to walk in order to make that happen. Does that make sense, folks?
How can we remove and add in array?
You want to remove an
We
object?
want to, like an example, yeah, like for example, we want to remove Kim,
We
and
want
then
to
we will have, and then it will be two there, like Thomas and Seva. And if you have three already, Thomas, Seva, Kim, if you want to add like David, then you can add one more. So how to add and how to remove?
Right. So let's store this array in a variable. Okay. So we're just gonna call it people, right? So people is an array, right? And we can just check class on it. It's an array. All right. So you want to get rid of Kim. That's not very nice of you, but okay. Let's get rid of Kim. So we just
people delete 0.
No, we just pop him.
Where is Kim? One,
we pop
2,
him.
0, 1, 2.
So we pop him, and that's it. He's gone. He's a goner. He's not there anymore. So we just call pop on it. And then we want to add, if let's say we want to add an object to an array, that's easy peasy, and you know this because it's part of the prep course. But you can use this shovel operator, and we're gonna reinstate Kim. I feel sorry for him. So there we go, and now Kim is back, and we also want to add Arun to this one, so we're going to say people, and we're going to push him in. All right, so we're going to push, and again, this is a Ruby, so we can use this poetry mode. We can omit the parentheses, and we will just say Arun like this, and that, and now he's in as well, right? So it's only David and Krister that is not in the array yet, so we're going to figure something out, right? So adding as the last object is not a big problem. You can just pop. Well, adding and removing is not a problem. You either pop or push, right? Pop gets rid of it. Push adds it. Okay. So the next question is, of course, that some of you will ask probably, is how can I add a new object to the beginning of the array? And that is not that easy because the array is constituted like this is index 0, index 1, index 2, and so on, right? So we want to add at the beginning of the array. So does anyone have any ideas?
People dot push and Arun, and then you used to use the same method, Arun in the bracket, and then 1 or 0 wherever you want to put him, 0, 1, 2, 3, something like that.
So what you could do,
Just insert, just people dot insert.
No. So in principle, what you could do is to take a look at Thomas and give him the last, because you want to keep Thomas in, right? So you can count the number of indexes, and they are 4, 0, 1, 2, 3 at this point. So you could take a look at Thomas, and you can move him to the 4th index, and then insert one with the same index number, basically. So you would have to, do a bit of coding, or you can say people. Oh, sorry, I'm not in the array. Where there I am. People, and then I think you can do unshift, and then we say David like this.
This will add in the start,
Right.
I think.
Huh? Yeah, so that puts it in
won't move you to the 4th. Yeah.
Yeah, so we are not adding him at the end. We're setting him. That was the objective at this point. Just that, right? So that would do that, but we can also inject Krister in the middle of the whole thing, and that's when we will use insert, and that would. So that's what you were referring at, and I think if we do people insert, and now I need to pass in 2 arguments. First, I want to say where I want to insert him, so that's going to be Thomas, after Thomas, and then I will just pass in Krister. I think this is what I need to do. No?
You put in the brackets, I think. I
Well,
managed to Google a bit.
yeah, but that shouldn't be the case here. I can always submit those brackets, I think. No, so that wasn't it. So I need to say what
Need a
index
value,
number,
right?
what index number, right? So it's going to be
Yeah.
2. Right, there we go. Right, so this is the index number of where I want to put it.
Yeah.
I haven't done this in ages, so you know that's why. Okay. Cool. And these kind of questions could become your reality tomorrow. You understand?
If you want to put in like a value for someone in that, like say I'm 29 years old, you want to add my age in there. Can you do that with a command?
Actually, so that's an interesting thing. Now I could. It's probably not the smartest thing to do. I will show you how I could do that. Let's remove Krister first. So we can't pop him, right? Because he's in the middle of the whole thing. So how the hell can we remove this guy from this array? We really want to erase Krister for asking that question from history. What can we do?
Don't you pop my index?
We could pop the index, perhaps. Should we try that? So 0, 1, 2. So let's see if we can do people. I don't think this will work. Pop 2. 2. Sorry. No, we just got rid of Kim and Arun, so that wasn't very nice of you. So he just got rid of you guys. Right. So any other ideas?
Delete that. And
Delete
place.
at. Okay. All right. Let's try that. People delete at like this, and then
and 2, right?
and
yeah,
2.
2.
All right. Let's try that like that. All right, Krister, you're a goner. There you go. Now he's gone.
I think also you can say like just delete, but then not the index, but the actual
name.
value.
So we're just gonna delete. We're gonna delete Seva, you know, just because he delete and then just Seva like this. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. No.
Yay! You're gone.
Yes.
You're gone. It's only me and you, David. We're the only ones left. Okay. So the thing is that if we can push. You know, I'm just gonna push that thing, Krister, that you asked for. So I'm gonna say people push. And then, you know, you can tab your way through here as well. So that's why you saw this come up, because I tabbed a little too early. So if I can push in other things than just a primitive string. I can push in an hash. So we can say name Krister and then age. How old are you, Krister? You're muted, so
29.
You probably don't want to say.
29.
Yeah. Right. So now we have 2 strings, David and Thomas, and now we have a hash. And this is actually a bit problematic in Ruby, because an array doesn't care about the the types that we are pushing in. And now imagine if you're writing a piece of software and you want to iterate over this. You want to write a for loop and iterate over this array and output that on screen or in your application or whatever. And all of a sudden you have you don't have a string, but you rather have an object. Do you understand? And that could cause all sorts of problems. So this mixing and matching of data types in arrays is not always a good thing. It leads to a lot of flexibility, but Ruby is not strong typed. It's loosely typed, and therefore we can mix those things. In many other languages and a subset of JavaScript that is called TypeScript, you could actually say that, hey, this array is only allowed to have strings. Do you understand? So if I would try to push in something else to this array rather than a string, that would cause problems, and we don't want that. Okay? All right. So one final question. What else can we do here? So we know how to push, pop, delete at, unshift. What else can we do to an array? We can loop over this array, right? So we're going to do that. We have 30 seconds. So we say people, well, first of all, we need to get rid of Krista because he's an object. We don't want that. So now we want to say people, there's only you and me now. And we say dot each, and then on a single line, you do this. This is a block in this case. And then you do these pipes.
I'm sorry.
What is actually
guys.
happening? Like the
Yeah,
screen
you stop
disappeared.
sharing.
It was paused in Google Meet, and there is no screen sharing.
Really, I am sharing my screen.
And actually, your camera
Yeah,
is frozen.
Which only, yeah.
it's good on Twitch. So
It's good on
Yeah.
Twitch. Go to Twitch.
yeah, Twitch is good.
Twitch is good.
Yep, you can continue.
Yes, Twitch is
Thank you.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm looking at Twitch.
That's good. There's something wrong with my what? Yeah, boys, I do not know what's going on. I really
I will
do not
send a
know.
link to it. Okay.
Yeah,
Fine.
can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes.
Wow, I was just totally kicked out of this meet. Probably because our time was up, so we're gonna take we have an almost full RAM. What the hell is going on? I don't know what's going down with these computers. Good thing I have a new MacBook Pro lying around at home, just waiting for me to configure it.
Nice.
Yeah. So 5 minutes, people. We're gonna reconvene soon. All right, and we are going to a short break. So we will just go and wait a little bit for. There we go. All right, we're getting back into the action, people. We have 38 seconds to spare on this thing, but we're gonna pause this new timer. We're gonna set this for 25 minutes again, and we should be okay. All right, so for loops, people, in Ruby. Look at the bottom of my screen. I say people dot each, which means take each. This is one of the first examples I ever showed you. And then I do square brackets, and I do those pipes, you know, those vertical lines. And now I will say, you know, person. So we have a plural people in a collection because it's an array, and then each and individual object will be called a person. Does that make sense? I choose that, you know, it's my calling, but I usually name my collections in plural and singletons in singular. Okay? All right.
Yes, and can you omit the curly brackets?
No.
Or
No.
no?
No. Not in
Okay.
this case. I cannot omit them because they are a block. These two curlies at this stage, and this is the confusing part for many people, these are not curlies as an object or anything. These two symbolizes the do and end. The first one opens a block and the last one closes the block. So this is do, you know, this one is do and this one is end. You understand? But we don't want to use that. We could in principle use it here as well, but we don't want to. We want to use curlies.
Because yes, I saw that I saw like just person without curly brackets, but probably it has end and do. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then we just want to say puts person because it's a primitive, right? So now it will say David and Thomas, and if we would have more things, then that would output that as well, you know. But so the dot each is the simplest iterator ever. It just goes through the array, as many indexes there are, and does whatever we tell it to do inside of the block. And in this case, we just said puts person. So there was an exercise in the prep course. I think we called it my group, and that's exactly what we did there. We created an array of hashes, and then we iterated over that array and we accessed the hashed values somehow, right? So that's the one. But then we have quite a few others, right? And so for that exercise, I need to create a few objects. So I'm going to say Thomas equals, and then name Thomas and age 49, and I'm an old guy, right? And then we're going to say, I think we had Krister somewhere, right? Didn't we have Krister? There we go, right. So I can just copy that, I don't have to type it up. And then we say Krister equals this, and what was it I wanted to do? Shit, I forgot. Yeah, now I know. Okay. And then we're gonna say David and equal name David. And how old are you, David?
31.
31. Okay, that's not that bad.
But my name's spelled the start of my name. Back. I mean, in the beginning.
Yeah. Right. And then I think we settle for this now. These three. Okay, so we're going to create an array, right? And I'm going to say that this array is an array that has David and Thomas and Krister in it. And since these are variables, I just put in those variable names, right? So now if we say what group is, we have all of this stuff inside, right? Okay. Now, any idea what would happen to this array if I change my age to 50,
It will add one more person, one more Thomas.
no,
Oh.
it will not. I will change this now. Thomas is 50 now. In November I will be 50. It's fucking unbelievable. I'm the youngest of all of my siblings and I'm 50 fucking years old. Anyway, if I check group now, will Thomas in that group be 49 or will he be 50? That's the question.
50.
That's one bet for 50. Do you have other bets?
I think it will be 49 still. It will not
Okay,
change.
so we have Krister and Seva for 50, Arun for 49.
I say it won't change.
So you say 49 as well. And Kim, what do you say?
Yeah, well, let's go for.
No, wait. Oh, wait, you just Thomas age. No, like in the group, it won't change because you're not accessing group right now.
Okay, so you change your mind. So
Okay.
it's 49.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. I'm 50.
Shit.
Trust your gut, my brother. Trust your gut. All right.
Seva was right. He
Yeah,
changed
yeah.
his mind.
No, so
Krister
because
wins.
the object is being inserted into this array. If that object changes, then the value of the array changes because it has to do with the mapping. It's a little bit beyond your pay grade at this point, and it's really not super relevant for the things we do. But I just want you to know that yes, this is exactly what happens here.
But I think it's Ruby specific, so in different languages it won't be the case.
You want to try it? We
Well,
can try it. We
I
can try
think
this.
yes, because usually I'm kind of used to working with arrays, and usually they just
Yeah. Well, the only language
remember values, and that's it.
Yeah, the only language we can try this in JavaScript. Okay, if that's okay. So let's do that. So I'm just gonna open up a Node console, and I will just copy this a little bit so I don't have to retype all of this stuff. So I'm just gonna grab this and I'm gonna say const. No, not const. Let Thomas equals this, right? And then I'm just gonna grab Krister. So, you know, the notation is exactly the same in JavaScript as here, but I need to tell this guy that I'm defining a local variable. And then we're gonna grab David, and we're gonna say let David like this, right? So now we can say let array equals array equals an array with Thomas, David, and with Krister. Right. Okay, so now array is this, which is exactly the thing that we had in Ruby. Okay, so now we're going to change Thomas to 50 again. So we say Thomas.age, right? That's, you can see the preview, it displays 49, but now I'm going to say equals 50, right? And so now we take a look at the array, and you can see that Thomas is 50 here as well, because of the way we are doing this now. So it's the same thing pretty much. I bet in some other languages you can have a slightly different behavior, but for now, since we are focusing on these two, we need to think about it. Yeah.
The last value is the main value, right? It's like, I mean, whatever you gave in the end, it will count the last value. So that's why it's like that.
Yeah, I guess. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Now, but what we are looking for now is, now that we have this group, let's say that we want to select everyone that is that has age under 40. Okay. We want to select everything that is under 40, and so we could say something like this: group and I'm really trying to remember how to do this because there are two. Yeah, right. So select, and then we do this. Now let's see, select curly brackets, I think. Shit, right, and then we say person, and then person age, right?
The spelling.
Yeah,
You
one
have
second.
typos
Yeah,
and person also.
yeah. Fuck this. I'm so glad I'm gonna get a new computer later today. Is less than 40. Is this less than?
No,
I
it's
never.
more.
This is more than, right?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
always, yeah. This is less than, right? Right. So if we run this, we should get only David and and Christer, right? But the group is still the same. Do you understand? Group still contains me. Now there is another method. So remember, write this up. Select, important. Okay. There is another one that is not called select, but rather detect. And what will this do, you think? Theory. If select returns everyone that is below 40 in this case, what will detect do?
Maybe the first one.
As the same.
So the
Like
same
it will
from David, the
detect
first one
like
from Seva. Any other bets? Seva is right. It will return the first one it encounters. Sorry, I cut you off. That's what we were about to say, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It will return the first one it encounters, which means that it will return whom?
David, right? Yes.
Everyone is on board with that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Okay. Yes. So it detects David and returns it. Right. Now this one is actually relevant for your weekend challenge. So that's really important. Okay. So what I want to convey to you in all of this stuff that we are doing is that open up IRB, try things out. If it, if something is wrong, you get a syntax error or something, it doesn't really matter because you can just carry on and do things. Sometimes you have to exit IRB and re-enter it and so on. And you can create a kitchen sink, as I said earlier today, and you can have these type of experiments in the you can create a few files, you can write some code in those files, and you can execute them. And that's exactly what we want you to do in those tech interviews. We want you to talk out loud and do things, as as you progress, right? Now, if anybody would ask you to write a test for the full class, but the full class is dependent on an attribute of a bar class, and you don't have a bar class, what would you do in tests in your RSpec then? The full class is dependent on bar class. Bar class simply doesn't exist, and you're supposed to write a unit test where bar is actually coming into play. What do you do?
You create an instance double.
That's what you do. You create an instance double. And if you are using a method on the bar class in your test, what do you do? That you want that method to return a value or give you some sort of feedback or a message back. And again, the bar class doesn't exist, and the full class desperately needs that value for something. What would you do? You would stub it out. You create a mock or a stub. So you just in print, in the real terms, what you're doing is you are using this syntax where you say allow your fake object to receive a message and return a value. Okay? Allow account to receive balance and return 100 means that this faked account has a balance of 100 monetary units on it. But this could be definitely a bar class or whatever class. Now I'm frozen probably because my damn computer is acting up again. No, I should be okay. Do you guys hear me still?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you.
Fine.
Everything
Yeah,
is
all,
working.
But
all is okay.
All right. Oh, you disappeared. I really don't know what's going on. So, because at some point during these tech interviews, you will be asked to write a few tests for things, okay? And there might be a situation where you're supposed to deal with stubs and mocks and instance doubles, like the one that we're using here. So setting up RSpec in a new project is really important, that you get that under control. So I'm going to do that right now, so you can, see me do it. Perhaps we can have opinions if I'm doing everything right, and so on. But there might be a situation where you guys need to do this tomorrow. Okay, so I want you to pay attention. So basically, even in this little interview demo, I could always create a gem file, right? So I can create a file and I can call it gem file. And I will say this once and for all: this gem file needs to be spelled with a capital G, okay? And it has no suffix. It is only called gem file. That's it. And the simplest way to add a gem or a library is to simply say gem and then the gem name. And in this case, it's going to be RSpec with one S only, no typos. And in your course documentation, we tell you to input the source of where bundler is supposed to fetch this, but you don't necessarily have to do it. Okay, you can say source https rubygems.org. I might as well do this now. https //rubygems.org, and underneath you put the name of the gem, and then the only thing you need to do is to, well, get the hell out of, where am I? There I am. Yeah, you got to get the hell out of Dodge here, clear this up, and you just run bundle. When you say bundle, what you are saying is bundle install, but you don't have to say it, okay? So you just run bundle, and that will install RSpec. And what is the command that will actually set up RSpec for you? Do you remember? Because now you installed it.
Dash init.
Once again?
Dash init.
Yes, sir. RSpec -- init.
You have two S.
Yes, I do. And now we should be good. And now we have all the things that, all the things that we need to run RSpec. And how can I check if this worked?
Just run RSpec.
RSpec.
You're muted, Arun. If you're talking, make sure to unmute yourself. Exactly. And that should just say 0 examples, 0 failures. And that means that it works. That's the low-hanging fruit. We always want to do the simplest thing. You create a gem file, you add RSpec, and you do this. Now, you can do this without the gem file if you want. So you can remove the gem file from here, and we can remove the spec and RSpec, all of that stuff. I'm gonna delete all of this. And now if you run RSpec, well, that could actually work because we have that in memory. But what you want to do is to say gem install RSpec. Gem, you don't have to use a gem file. You can install your gems directly from the terminal like this, and that should work pretty fast, hopefully. Who knows? Well, famous last words, should be quick. Wasn't quick. Right. Why is this not quick? It should be quick. Really? I mean, oh, there it is. Okay. done installing. Well, those 0 seconds were awfully long, to be honest. Yeah, and now you can just do rspec -- init, and another 20 seconds later, no, I'm kidding, you get this spec and rspec, and now you just do rspec as we said, and you should get 0 failures, 0.
You don't have to bundle when you do that.
No, you don't do bundle, because this is the equivalent of bundle. Gem install
Yeah.
rspec is thing. So now, as you see, I do not have a gem file or gem file lock in my thing, in my folder structure. Now, the downside with this way of doing things is that when you want to share your code with somebody else, then they don't know what sort of dependencies you've been using. So the gem file and gem file lock is telling everyone, every other system apart from your own local host, what dependencies you are currently using. So that's why you want to get into that. All right. Any questions on that?
No.
No questions. All right. Cool. So if you would like to create a test for the foo class, for instance, where would you place that test?
In the spec?
In the spec folder, and what would you call it?
Foo ground spec.
Foo.spec.rb.
I call it spec first, then foo.
Foo.spec /spec.
Right. No. So foo_spec.rb. That's the best practice in Ruby. In a JavaScript world, you would call this foo.spec.js, but here you use the underscore. Right. And so, what is the first thing a test file needs to know about in order to actually be able to work?
What file to test?
Once again?
What file to test?
Yes. And what should I do now?
Should say, is it require? No, I forgot.
You have to require foo.rb.
Require, yeah.
Yeah. So we want to require, and we have to navigate to the foo thing. So it's probably foo.rb. But so I'm never sure whether this should be 2 dots, if I used to use require relative, or what I'm supposed to do. See, I am in the spec folder now, so I have to jump up a little, so I'm in the root folder, and then require this file, because that's where it is. So hopefully that will work. And the next thing, I need a describe block, right? And what are we describing in this case?
Don't you need a class also?
Nope, not in test. It's already, that's in the implementation. So here I just want to say describe foo like this, because I know that there is a class in here. Otherwise, I would have, I could do this, like wrap this in as a, pass this as a string. But the downside with doing it this way is that we won't get the subject automatically. Do you understand? If we do this in this way, rspec will create the subject for us. And we spoke extensively about what subject is. That is the instance of that particular class that we will be testing for, right? So we could now say just it, and we get this. I have this extension, and I can say is expected to respond to bar, and then I can just say expect subject, I think is to respond to, I think, respond to, right, respond to, and then I can say as a symbol, I would say bar. I think that's the one. So let's try to run this rspec. and he couldn't load this file, so let's try it like this. I'm always messing up. Oh, it's just dot. Okay. And now we got this passing because we are responding to bar. What this test respond to matter is just checking whether our instance has a method or a function. Well, in Ruby we call them methods. That is called a bar. The good thing is we had a Baz class, right? Baz as well. So we could write a very similar test like this: it, and then curlies, and then say is expected to respond to, and then Baz. I know we had something like this. This notation is a one-liner, and it does exactly the same thing as this, but for the Baz thing, right? So if we run this now, we get to pass test. Now, one last thing before we part way. You saw that we're doing 2 dots here, where I just the thing that I just highlighted. Do you remember how I can get a better output?
Nope.
By RSpec, you need to add documentation something. That does documentation something.
Yeah, that's something is needs to be, you know, formulated a little better tomorrow when somebody asks. You could go
Document
into
name.
nope. In the .rspec, we do exactly what Arun said, where we just do -- format documentation. Right, this. And now when we run our tests, we will get this output instead of the dots. The dots are not bad, because if you have many tests, you don't want too big of an output. But in this case, I really wanted you to see the output, because you see, I wrote this test as a one-liner. It is expected to respond to Baz, and the output of RSpec is this on that particular test, right? So that is the default way of generating, you know, test output. Note that he uses a hash sign here at Baz. Do you see that? Right? I don't set this anywhere. Now, this hash sign in front of a name is it's a best practice when you define or describe instance methods. You understand? So I should probably format my own message in the same way, you know, so that we get a normalized output. Even despite I'm using 2 different notations, I want the output to be the same in terminal. Do you understand? Details matters, people. I know I'm a bit anal on these things, but that's definitely what we want to achieve here. Folks, this is what I had for you. Any questions at this point? Is there any ambiguity? Do you want to ask anything about the tech interview training tomorrow?
Yes. At what time it will be?
It will be before lunch.
Before lunch.
And you also got an invite to a session we will be running tomorrow for the cybersecurity guys. So we will squeeze that in as soon as possible. This thing is like 20 minutes, so don't worry about it. It's not that hard, okay? If you practice the things that we just spoke about, you'll be all good, you know? The only thing that might change is the domain and the names and stuff like that, but it's going to be the same thing.
And it's basically just Ruby.
It's Ruby tomorrow.
Okay.
It's Ruby tomorrow. All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I hope you didn't mind me joking about that ping thing, Kim. You're the man.
Fine.
Stay cool. Carry on. Code on. And I see you guys tomorrow. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You guys.
Thank you. And to my streamers or streaming guests, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Ruby overview. Who knows? Some of you might even be interested in writing some Ruby code. I do that sometimes, so tag along in this channel, and we'll get more of that later. But for now, thank you very much. That does it for me. Cheerio.